Good day all, welcome to the next video in which we're going to have a look at the date function. The date function requires three parameters, being the year, the month and the day, and in that order. So the return value of the function date is a number, and depending, the date function will return just an integer as a number. There are a few other functions that will return the date, such as today, which also only returns an integer, or the @now. And the @now function will include the time, which is a number including a decimal place, and the decimal place being the time, because each day is a integer 1. So if today, and I've set the day to today, which is the number 44,088, which represents today's date, which happens to be the 14th of the 9th in 2020. And because the date function returns an integer, there is no fractional part. But if I add, and I have done that a little bit further down in D23, I have the toDate function. I take that function, the result of that function, and I can add 1, which will give me tomorrow, where the number represents 44,089, which is the date, the 15th of the 9th in 2020. Now, because each day has a value of 1, the time value can be 1 divided by 24 for each hour, or 1 divided by 2 to give half a day. But we will deal with that when we start looking at the time function. For the time being, we can start calculating. If I add 2 days to the date that I've selected, which is the today value, the date, I have in this case used the date with these parameters, which is the year, the month and the day, which gives me today's date. I can, when I put it down, Excel formats it straight away to a date format, which depends on your regional setting. So that will be different for each user or each computer that you are using the date function on. My setting is set to day, month, year, but a lot of people in the world have set it to a different format. The less confusing thing is just to keep it as a number. So I've taken that number behind the scene. I'm looking at the date format. I have converted it to a number, and I can now see that that number represents today. What the number actually means is that there have been 44,088 days since the beginning that Excel started counting, which is on the 1st of January 1900. So each day after that date, so the 2nd of January was a 2, the 3rd of January is a 3, and so on until today, when 44,088 days have passed since the day that Excel started counting. And for each date that we put in, so I can go into the future, I can say 2025, today 2025 will give me a number of 45,914, and that is what that date represents. So the number behind the format is the number, but the formatting shows the date, and that is basically what the date function gives us. So to recap, the date function needs three parameters: year, month, and day, in that order, and as we type it out, it will come and ask the parameters for us. So the first parameter that comes up is the year. If I put in the year and I press the comma, it will automatically move to the next parameter, which is the month, and I can make it the 9th and press a comma, and now it's asking me for the day. So if I put the 14th and close the function, I would get a presentation of formatted date. But if I format that same date into a number, I get the number of days since the 1st of January 1900, and there have been 36,783 days since that day, and we are now, so the date that I've chosen, and I must format it back to a date, and I can format it any way I like. So I can take the 14th of March, now it's the 14th of September 2000, and the date today is 44,088. So we can now start calculating the difference. The problem or the confusion might be, if I take today's date minus that date, I'm going to get a formatted date. So I'm not getting a number, the difference. So to get the actual difference between the two numbers, there are 7,305 days between the 14th of September 2000 and the 14th of September 2020. So we can start calculating with dates, because behind the scenes, even though we see a date, behind the scenes it is a number, and we can subtract, add, and do all sorts of calculations with that number. So that is basically what I would like to show about the date function. There will be further videos on the date function or working with dates, because both in finance and in a lot of applications, the date becomes an important issue, and I will show that in later videos. Thank you. Goodbye.